The unbelievable awakening. The air was warm, almost too warm. The sound of soft breathing filled the room, steady and calm. The human stirred, his mind heavy, his body slow to wake. His head ached, as if he had been unconscious for hours, maybe even days. Then he opened his eyes. At first, everything was a blur. Strange lights flickered along the walls, glowing softly in shades of blue and purple. The ceiling was high, curving like the inside of a dome, made of smooth, glassy material. It wasn't Earth. It wasn't his ship either. Something was wrong. His breath caught in his throat as he turned his head and froze. Right beside him, on the same bed, lay an alien. She was unlike anything he had ever seen before. Her skin shimmered faintly under the soft lights, shifting between silver and blue. Her hair, long, silky, and glowing with faint purple strands, spread across the pillow. Her eyes were already open, watching him with an expression that was calm, almost expectant. His heart pounded. How did he get here? Who was she? Why was she staring at him like that? His first instinct was to move, to get away. But as he tried to sit up, a strange force pushed against him, holding him down. His muscles tensed as he struggled, but it was no use. An invisible energy surrounded him, keeping him in place. Panic set in. Where am I? His voice was hoarse, barely above a whisper. The alien continued to watch him. Then, finally, she spoke. Do you still believe humans and aliens can never share the same fate? Her voice was smooth, almost musical, but her words sent a chill down his spine. What kind of question was that? What did she mean? His thoughts raced. He remembered the mission. His ship had been traveling through uncharted space. A distress signal had appeared, weak and broken. He had gone to investigate. And then, nothing. His memory went blank. Had he been captured? Was he a prisoner? His breathing quickened, but the alien woman made no move to harm him. She simply waited. A flash of memory hit him. The crash. The explosion. The feeling of weightlessness before everything went dark. His heart pounded harder. He wasn't alone on that mission. His crew. What happened to them? Where are my people? His voice was stronger this time. What did you do to them? The alien's expression remained unreadable. She tilted her head slightly, as if considering his question. They are safe. That wasn't enough. I want to see them. You will, she said, but first, you must understand why you are here. He clenched his fists. This wasn't making any sense. He needed answers. Why am I here? For the first time, something changed in her expression. A flicker of something he couldn't quite place. Sadness. Amusement. You are here, she said softly, because I saved your life. The words hit him like a shockwave. Saved him? No, that couldn't be right. If she saved him, why was he restrained? Why did she look at him like she was testing him? Then let me go. I cannot. Frustration burned inside him. He pulled against the unseen force holding him down, but it was useless. The alien woman sat up slightly, resting her hand on the surface between them. The strange energy holding him down shifted, pressing heavier against his body for a moment before easing just enough to let him breathe. She was controlling it. Listen to me, human, she said. Your arrival here is not an accident. You are caught in something far greater than you understand. He didn't like the sound of that. I don't care about any of that, he snapped. I just want to go back to my crew. She sighed, her glowing eyes watching him closely. You don't have a choice, she said. Not anymore. A deep metallic boom echoed through the room. The walls vibrated slightly, and the soft lights flickered. The alien's eyes narrowed as she turned toward the source of the sound. Something, or someone, was outside. The human felt his body tense. That sound, it wasn't random. It was footsteps. Heavy. Approaching. His instincts screamed at him. Danger was coming. Who is that? He demanded. The alien stood up gracefully, her long hair flowing behind her as she moved toward the doorway. She didn't answer his question, but her posture had changed. Before, she had been calm, controlled. Now her muscles were taut, her breathing sharper. She was ready for a fight. The footsteps stopped. Then, a loud clang. The door shook as if something massive had slammed into it. His pulse raced. His instincts screamed at him to get up, to run, to do something. But the invisible energy still pinned him down. He wasn't ready for this. The alien turned her head slightly, her glowing eyes locking onto his. "Stay quiet," she whispered. Then the door burst open, and everything descended into chaos. The prison or the sanctuary? A deafening crash shook the room as the door slammed open, sending a wave of dust and light flashing through the space. The human's heart pounded in his chest as dark figures filled the doorway. They were not human. Broad-shouldered, clad in metallic armor that shimmered under the strange blue lights, the intruders moved with a terrifying precision. Their helmets were featureless except for a single glowing red slit where their eyes should have been. They carried weapons unlike anything he had ever seen, glowing with dangerous energy, their shapes shifting as if adjusting to their wielder's grip. The alien woman standing beside him didn't move. She didn't flinch. She didn't even blink. Instead, she raised a single hand. The air in the room changed instantly. A deep hum vibrated through the walls. The force pressing down on his body shifted, like gravity itself had bent for just a second. The intruders hesitated, their weapons buzzing. That was all she needed. In an instant, the alien vanished. Or at least, that's what it looked like. One moment, she was standing calmly between him and the soldiers. The next, she was behind them, moving faster than his eyes could follow. A sharp electric sound filled the air as one of the soldiers staggered forward, his armor suddenly sparking. She had touched him, just once, and his suit was already failing. The other soldiers turned, weapons raised. The human struggled against the unseen force still keeping him down. He needed to move. He couldn't just lie there while she fought alone. But then he saw her face. She wasn't afraid. She was smiling. The next few seconds were a blur. A pulse of blue energy exploded outward from her hand, sending one of the armored soldiers flying into the wall. Another raised his weapon, but before he could fire, she twisted her body, dodging the attack with almost inhuman grace. The third soldier managed to strike. A flash of orange light streaked across the room, hitting her square in the shoulder. She didn't scream. She didn't fall. She simply turned her head, looking at the wound like it was nothing. Then, she reached forward and grabbed the attacker's helmet. A loud mechanical screech echoed as the armor around the soldier's head collapsed inward, as if it had been crushed by an invisible force. The soldier dropped to the ground, motionless. The human barely had time to process what he was seeing before everything went still. The remaining soldiers hesitated. Then, without warning, they turned and fled, their heavy boots pounding against the metal floor as they disappeared down the corridor. The hum in the air faded. The strange energy pressing against the human's body finally lifted. He sucked in a breath and pushed himself up. His muscles ached from lying still too long, but he forced himself to move. The alien woman turned back to him, her glowing eyes locking onto his. "Come," she said. "We don't have much time." The escape. His mind raced as he followed her out of the room. "Who were they?" he asked, his voice hoarse. She didn't look back as she answered. "Hunters." That single word sent a chill down his spine. The corridor they entered was long and metallic, curving endlessly in both directions. Strange symbols glowed along the walls, pulsing as they moved. The air smelled clean, too clean, like it had been filtered over and over again. "Where are we?" he demanded. "A vessel," she said simply, "not one you would recognize." That didn't make him feel any better. "You said you saved me," he said, "but now we're being hunted. What's really going on?" She finally stopped, turning toward him. I saved your life, she said, her voice quieter now. But that does not mean you are safe. He frowned. That doesn't make any sense. It will soon. Before he could ask more, the lights flickered. A low, mechanical voice filled the hallway, speaking in a language he didn't understand. The alien cursed under her breath. Move, she ordered. He didn't argue. A dangerous secret. The hallway opened into a massive chamber, far larger than he expected. The ceiling stretched into darkness, and in the center of the room, a floating holographic map flickered, displaying something that looked like a star system. He recognized Earth. His stomach tightened. You were never meant to be here, she said, stepping forward. But now that you are, there is something you need to understand. He watched as she reached out, touching one of the glowing points on the hologram. The entire map shifted, zooming in. A second system appeared, a world with 2 suns. He had never seen it before. That, she said, pointing at it, is my home. And right now, your kind is heading toward it. His pulse quickened. What? She turned to face him fully now. You think this is about you? About your crew? She shook her head. No, this is much bigger than that. He struggled to take it all in. You still haven't answered my question, he said. Her glowing eyes narrowed. Do you still believe humans and aliens can never share the same fate? The same words he had spoken when he first woke up. He stared at her, his mind racing. Whatever was happening here, it wasn't just about survival. It was about something much, much bigger. And whether he liked it or not, he was now part of it. The hunters and the hunted. The hum of the strange vessel's corridors echoed around them as the human followed the alien woman deeper into the ship. Her presence was almost unnerving. Her calm, collected demeanor in the face of danger made him uneasy, but he couldn't deny that it was impressive. He tried to keep up with her swift movements as they navigated tight passages and corners, the sound of their footsteps muffled by the smooth, polished floors. The walls seemed to pulse with an eerie energy, and the faint glow of the symbols along them flickered in time with the pulse of his racing heartbeat. The alien woman didn't speak as they moved, but her every movement was purposeful. The silence between them was thick, but it wasn't uncomfortable. It was more like she had already said everything she needed to say. And now it was his turn to catch up. His mind was racing. He needed answers. Fast. Where are we going? He asked, trying to break the tension that clung to the air. She didn't respond immediately, but her gaze flicked toward him for the briefest moment before she spoke. We're heading to the command center. His brow furrowed. And then what? Then we prepare. Prepare for what? She stopped, turning to face him in the dimly lit corridor. Her eyes, glowing faintly, locked onto his. Her expression was unreadable, but there was a certain weight behind her gaze that sent a shiver down his spine. Prepare for war, she said simply. He felt his chest tighten. War? The thought of an actual war, something that involved him, a human, in the center of it, was too much to wrap his head around. This wasn't a military mission. This wasn't some high-risk rescue operation. This was different, far more dangerous than anything he could have imagined. He opened his mouth to protest, but she raised a hand to silence him. Before you ask, she continued, you are not the cause of this war. But you are now a part of it. He stared at her, confused. But I just woke up here. I don't even know where I am. She sighed, her glowing eyes softening slightly. You're not the only one who is lost. We all are in some way. He blinked in disbelief. What are you talking about? She looked around them, as if making sure no one was listening, before speaking in a low, serious tone. There are forces at play here that are far beyond your understanding, but you will soon see. He shook his head, frustration creeping up his spine. None of this makes sense. I know, she replied softly, and it will be your choice whether or not to accept what is about to come. Before he could respond, a sudden alarm pierced the air, followed by a series of loud mechanical noises. The ship shook violently, as if something massive had just impacted it. The lights flickered, and the air seemed to grow thicker, the temperature rising. "Get down," she shouted, grabbing his arm and pulling him into a nearby alcove just as a blast of energy shot past them. A massive explosion rocked the ship, shaking the walls and knocking them both to the ground. He barely had time to process what had happened before he saw a group of armored soldiers rush past them, their heavy boots pounding on the floor. The alien woman's expression remained calm, but he could see the tension in her posture. She didn't make a move to fight, but she didn't seem surprised either. "Who are they?" the human whispered, his voice barely audible over the ringing in his ears. "The hunters," she replied grimly. "They're here for you." He swallowed hard. "Why?" "Because you're the key." Before he could ask more, she stood up, her glowing hand raised. The air around them vibrated with energy, and the human could feel a strange force gathering. Without warning, the woman shot a pulse of energy toward the approaching soldiers, knocking them backward with a force that sent them crashing into the walls. It was over almost as soon as it had begun. But it wasn't safe yet. The alien woman's face was set, her eyes narrowed in concentration. "They'll be back," she said quickly, "and they won't stop until they have what they want." "What do they want from me?" he asked, his voice rising in panic. She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she turned to face him fully, her expression softening just a little. "They want you," she said, "because you're the last hope for stopping this war." He stared at her, unsure of what she meant. "How am I the hope? I'm just a regular human." She nodded slowly. "I know, but that's why they're coming for you. You are the one who can end this, the one who can stop them." He took a step back, feeling his heart race in his chest. He didn't feel like any kind of hero. He was just a man caught in the middle of something he couldn't possibly understand. Before he could say anything more, the alarms went off again. This time, it wasn't just a few soldiers. The ship's entire defense system had activated, and he could hear the sound of multiple ships approaching. The alien woman's expression hardened. "We have to go." She grabbed his arm again, pulling him forward at a quick pace. They moved down the corridors, heading for what he assumed was the command center, but it wasn't easy. The ship was under attack, and they had to move quickly, avoiding groups of soldiers who were patrolling the ship's interior. Just as they reached an open hatch, a loud explosion rocked the ship again, this time knocking them both off their feet. When the smoke cleared, he could see the alien woman standing tall, her eyes glowing bright with intensity. "We're not alone," she muttered. He stared at her, confused. "What do you mean?" Before she could answer, more soldiers appeared at the end of the hall, and it was clear they had no intention of letting them escape. The battle wasn't over. It had only just begun. The hidden truth. The corridors of the alien ship were alive with the sound of chaos. Blaring alarms, rushing footsteps, and the distinct hum of weapons charging. The human barely kept up as the alien woman pulled him down the dimly lit passageway. The walls vibrated with each impact from enemy blasts, sending tremors through the floor. Every corner they turned seemed to hold a new wave of soldiers, but somehow, the alien woman always knew exactly where to go. She moved with a purpose, her glowing eyes scanning their surroundings, never once showing fear. Her presence was a beacon of confidence, even as the ship's interior descended into chaos. But the human was starting to wonder if they were running from something worse than death itself. They finally reached a heavy, reinforced door at the end of a narrow hallway, guarded by 2 armed sentries. The alien woman didn't hesitate for a second. With a swift movement, she raised her hand, and a pulse of energy shot out, knocking the guards to the floor before they even had time to react. "Are they going to keep coming for us like this?" the human asked breathlessly, his voice tinged with frustration. She didn't answer immediately, stepping through the now-open door. The human followed, still trying to catch his breath. The room they entered was unlike anything he had expected. It wasn't a control center or a weapons room, but rather a large, spherical chamber filled with strange, alien devices that hummed with an otherworldly energy. A holographic projection of a star system floated in the center, the planets and moons spinning slowly in the void. He didn't have time to admire the view, though. His eyes locked onto the center of the room, where an enormous crystalline structure pulsed with bright blue light. "What is this?" he asked, taking a hesitant step forward. "This is the heart of the ship," the alien woman said, her voice quieter now. "And it is also where the truth lies." The human furrowed his brow. He didn't like the sound of that. Truth. The alien woman stood before the crystal, her expression distant as she gazed at the flickering image within. She seemed lost in thought for a moment, but then she turned toward him, her gaze softening just a little. "You're not just any human," she said, her voice filled with a quiet seriousness. "You're the last hope for the universe." His heart skipped a beat. "What do you mean?" "I'm just a soldier, just part of a crew." "I don't understand." Her eyes met his, glowing faintly. "You don't understand yet, but you will." She paused, taking a deep breath before continuing. "This ship is not just a vessel. It's a weapon, one that's capable of destroying entire worlds." He stared at her in shock. "What? No, that doesn't make any sense. If this ship is capable of that, then why aren't you using it to defend yourself? Why are you hiding?" The alien woman looked at him, her face drawn with the weight of her words. "Because the weapon is alive. It is not simply controlled by us. It is a living entity, bound to the fate of the universe itself. And that fate is tied to you." He shook his head, trying to understand. "How can I be connected to this thing?" "You are the key," she replied. "The last of your kind who can control it. The weapon responds only to the one who shares a bond with it, a bond that only you can create." He blinked, feeling the weight of her words press down on him. "But I don't." "You do," she interrupted, stepping closer. "You just don't know it yet." Before he could respond, the chamber's lights dimmed suddenly, and a voice echoed through the walls. The alien woman stiffened. "We are nearing the point of no return," the voice said in a calm, mechanical tone. "The time has come to make a decision." The human's eyes widened. "Who's that?" The alien woman's expression darkened. "It's the consciousness of the ship, the heart of the weapon. It is what has kept you alive. And it is also what has caused your people's downfall." The human's mind was racing. "What do you mean by that?" She turned back to the crystal, her face tight with concentration. "The universe is on the edge of a great war. For millennia, my people have searched for the one who could stop it, someone who could unite the galaxy and turn the tide of battle. That person is you." He felt a knot tighten in his stomach. "I'm just a soldier, a crew member. How could I stop a war?" The alien woman's voice was soft, but filled with a sense of urgency. "Because this war isn't just about politics or resources. It's about survival. The universe itself is dying, and if we don't stop the force that's spreading across it, everything will be lost. That force, it is what the hunters serve." The human felt his head spin. "The hunters are working for the enemy. But who's the enemy?" The alien woman took a deep breath, her eyes hardening. "The enemy is a race older than time itself, one that has existed for eons and has already destroyed countless civilizations. They are the true source of the war. They are called the Inheritors." The name sent a shiver down his spine. The Inheritors are what's left of a race that once ruled the universe. But something went wrong. They were consumed by their own thirst for power, and now they seek to reclaim what they've lost. They will stop at nothing to reset the universe in their image. The human's thoughts were racing. "And you think I can stop them?" "You already have," she replied softly. "The ship's power is tied to you now. You are the only one who can control it, and the only one who can use it to destroy the Inheritors once and for all." He stared at her, trying to process everything she had said. "But I don't know how to do that. I'm just a soldier. I don't even understand how all this works." The alien woman placed a hand on his shoulder, her expression firm. You will. In time, you will understand what you need to do. But for now, we have no more time to waste. The inheritors are coming for us, and we need to prepare. The air in the room grew heavy with tension. The human swallowed hard, looking up at the glowing crystal in the center of the chamber. It pulsed with an eerie blue light, as if it were alive, waiting. And for the first time since he had woken up on this alien ship, he realized that the fate of the entire universe might rest in his hands. And there was no going back. The betrayal. The heavy, mechanical hum of the ship's engines reverberated through the walls, vibrating deep in the human's chest. The alien woman stood next to him, her glowing eyes scanning the chamber as if she could sense the impending danger. The truth she had revealed to him felt like an anchor, dragging him deeper into an unknown abyss. The weight of what she had said hung heavily in the air. The inheritors were coming, and he was now the only one who could stop them. But as he stood there, processing the overwhelming responsibility, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Something was out of place. There was too much happening too fast, and he still didn't fully understand what was going on. Is there any way to stop them? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. The alien woman didn't answer immediately. She turned her gaze back toward the flickering hologram of the galaxy, her face drawn in concentration. You already have, she said finally, her voice softer than before. The weapon that you now control is the key to stopping the inheritors. It's the most powerful force in the universe, but you must learn to wield it. Only then will you be able to destroy them. The weight of her words settled over him. Learn to wield it. But how? How could he possibly control something so powerful, something that was alive, something that could change the fate of an entire galaxy? But just as he was about to ask more questions, the sound of footsteps echoed in the hallway outside. Heavy footsteps. He turned toward the door, his heart pounding in his chest. What's that? The alien woman's eyes narrowed. Stay quiet, she whispered. We've been betrayed. The words hit him like a punch to the gut. Betrayed? By who? Before he could react, the door to the chamber burst open, and a figure stepped inside. The human's heart stopped. It was one of the soldiers they had fought earlier, the one with the dark, featureless helmet. But this time, there was something different. The helmet was gone, and the soldier's face was familiar. He recognized him. You, the human breathed, a sense of shock and betrayal crashing over him. It was one of his crew members. How was he here? What was he doing with the enemy? The soldier, no, the traitor, looked at him with cold, unblinking eyes. I didn't have a choice, he said in a low, gravelly voice. I was ordered to do this. The alien woman's expression hardened. She stepped forward, her hand glowing with energy. But the traitor raised his own weapon, pointing it directly at her. Don't, he warned, his voice tense. I won't let you stop this. I can't. The human's mind raced. What was going on? How had one of his own crew members become a traitor? Why had he turned against them? Why? The human's voice cracked, the disbelief thick in his words. Why are you doing this? We're on the same side. We were. But the traitor didn't let him finish. You don't understand, the traitor said, his tone cold and final. This isn't just about you or your crew. It's about survival. The inheritors aren't what you think they are. They are the only hope for the galaxy. They will bring order to the chaos. They are the only ones who can stop the real threat, the darkness that is consuming the universe. The human stared at him, his mind spinning. The inheritors were the enemy, the ones who had caused the galaxy's destruction. How could they be the hope for anything? You're wrong, the alien woman said, her voice sharp. The inheritors are the darkness. They are the ones who will destroy everything. They will consume this galaxy and all of its life. The traitor shook his head. You don't understand. You've been lied to. The real enemy isn't the inheritors. It's them, he said, his voice growing more frantic. The ones who created the inheritors. The ones who control everything from the shadows. If we don't join them, if we don't side with the inheritors, we will all be wiped out. The human could feel the tension in the room thickening. The air seemed to grow colder as the traitor's words sank in. Was he telling the truth? Was there a greater enemy lurking in the shadows, controlling everything? Or was he just a pawn, too blinded by fear to see the truth? Do you think they will save you? The alien woman asked, her voice rising. The inheritors are not saviors. They are destroyers. They will use you, and when they're finished, they will discard you like all the others who tried to bend to their will. The traitor's eyes flickered with doubt, but his grip on his weapon remained steady. I don't have a choice anymore. You wouldn't understand. The human couldn't take it any longer. What happened to you? He demanded. You were part of our crew. We trusted you. For a moment, the traitor's gaze softened, and the human could almost see a hint of regret in his eyes. But then the coldness returned, and the traitor spoke again, his voice quieter this time. I'm sorry, he said, almost too softly to hear. But it's too late. The alien woman's eyes flicked to the human, and he saw the flash of something. Anger. Sadness. He couldn't tell. She was facing a decision, one that would determine everything. Would she kill the traitor? Could she afford to? The human took a step forward, his hands raised in an attempt to defuse the situation. We can still stop this, he said, his voice shaking with the weight of what was happening. We can still make it right. Help me, and we can fight together. The traitor's expression hardened once more, and he raised his weapon. It's already too late for that. The inheritors are coming, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. They will use the power of the ship, and they will win. The alien woman's hand glowed brighter, the energy swirling around her fingers. You're wrong, she said quietly, but you'll find out soon enough. Before the human could react, the traitor fired. A burst of energy exploded in the room, but it wasn't aimed at the alien woman. It was aimed at him. Time seemed to slow as the human tried to move, but his body was frozen. And then, in a flash, the alien woman stepped in front of him, her body absorbing the blast. The ultimate decision. The ship shook violently, a deep rumble echoing through the walls as the human scrambled to his feet. He had barely processed the explosion, the flash of energy, the blinding pain, before the alien woman's body collapsed in front of him. The traitor's weapon was still smoking, the blast's impact lingering in the air like a terrible memory. The alien woman lay unconscious, or worse, in front of him, a thin, glowing line of energy faintly pulsing from the wound in her side. She wasn't moving. Her usually composed, impenetrable demeanor was now fragile. No, the human screamed, rushing to her side. He barely noticed the traitor's retreating footsteps, the cold echo of his departure fading into the distance. His hand shook as he gently touched her, feeling the warmth of her skin, the strange, rhythmic pulse of her life force through the shimmering wound. He could hear his own breath, ragged and frantic, as he tried to lift her into his arms. But she stirred, her glowing eyes fluttering open. For a brief moment, there was clarity, recognition, and then the faintest smile. Don't, she whispered, her voice hoarse. Don't waste time on me. The human shook his head. You're not dying. I'm not letting you die. His words came out in a desperate rush. We need to get you to medical. She stopped him with a weak gesture, her hand touching his arm. It's already too late for me. The human's chest tightened. No, I won't accept that. You're the key, this ship, the power, everything. I know, she said softly, her voice barely a whisper. But you must understand. The time for hesitation is over. The inheritors. They are coming, and they are coming faster than you think. This ship is more than just a weapon. It's alive. It knows you now. He was on his knees next to her, helpless, but her gaze held an urgency that grounded him. Her eyes glowed softly, but there was a deep sadness there now, mixed with something else. Peace. She had accepted it. His mind screamed in frustration. How could she accept it? How could she just give up? She reached out weakly, her fingers brushing his cheek. You are not just a soldier. You're the one they were waiting for. The one the galaxy needs. But you must choose now. Her voice quivered with a profound weight. The universe's fate rests in your hands. You must control the weapon, or destroy it. The words hit him like a wave. He felt stuck, torn between impossible choices. He didn't know what to do. Control the weapon, or destroy it. Please, he whispered, desperately trying to hold it together. What does that even mean? How do I control something this powerful? She smiled weakly, her hand falling back to the floor. You'll know. When the time comes, you'll know what to do. Trust the bond. Trust the ship. The power is within you already. The human sat back, staring at her, feeling a gnawing sense of panic and helplessness claw at his chest. His entire world had been turned upside down in just a matter of days. First, the crash, then the alien woman's arrival, the betrayal, and now this. He was the key to something that could either save or destroy everything. His thoughts turned back to the traitor, the one who had once been part of his crew. How could someone he trusted betray them so completely? But the alien woman was still alive, even if only for a little while. He couldn't lose her too. She was the only person who had believed in him, who had trusted him to make the right choices. Without her, he felt like a man lost at sea, tossed around by currents too strong to fight. There's no more time, the alien woman whispered. You must decide. It will be hard, but you have to be ready. The inheritors will stop at nothing. And the galaxy, it needs a hero. She closed her eyes, and the room seemed to grow colder. The heartbeat of the ship pulsed more rapidly now, like a warning. The emergency lights flickered, casting eerie shadows on the walls. The human felt the pressure building, the weight of the situation suffocating him. He glanced at her one last time, and in her gaze, he saw something he hadn't seen before. Hope. She believed in him, even as she lay there, fading. Even though the odds were stacked against them, she trusted that he was capable of something greater. Her words echoed in his mind. The power is within you. You must control it. The human looked around the chamber, the ship's heart, the crystal, the pulsing core that he now realized was somehow connected to him. The soft blue light seemed to beckon him, as if it were reaching out, wanting him to take control. It was alive, and it responded to his presence. With a deep, shaky breath, he stood and walked toward the core. His legs felt weak, his mind uncertain, but something inside him, something deep, pushed him forward. He knew that the time had come. He placed his hands on the surface of the glowing crystal, feeling its energy ripple beneath his touch. For a moment, there was silence. The ship seemed to hold its breath, waiting. Then, slowly, the crystal began to hum louder, and he felt a surge of power course through his body. His skin tingled with the unfamiliar energy, and he heard the voice of the ship, the consciousness, speak directly to him. You have unlocked the power. You are the one who will decide the fate of the galaxy. The human's heart raced. He could feel it. The power, the weight of everything that had led him here. The inheritors, the betrayal, the bond he now shared with the ship. It was all leading to this moment. And the choice was his. Would he control the ship, harnessing its power to fight for the future? Or would he destroy it, risking everything to stop the inheritors and their impending war? The decision felt impossible. It was as if the entire universe was holding its breath, waiting for his answer. And then suddenly he knew. He knew what he had to do. The final stand. The decision was made. The human's heart pounded in his chest as he stood before the glowing crystal, the ship's pulsating energy filling the air around him. The words of the alien woman still echoed in his mind, her voice a constant reminder of the responsibility now placed upon him. He was the last hope, the one who could either save or doom the galaxy. The weight of the universe pressed heavily on his shoulders. He could feel the power of the ship surging through him. A raw, untamed energy, both alien and familiar. It wasn't just a weapon. It was a force that was alive. And now, it had chosen him. The bond had been formed. The weapon's will was his will. But the real battle was just beginning. As he stood there, hands still on the crystal, the ship's consciousness spoke once more. "You are ready." The hum of the ship grew louder, vibrating through the very bones of the human. It was as though the ship itself was preparing for battle, aligning itself with him. He could feel the pulse of every living thing on the ship, the very heart of the galaxy, beating in time with his own. He didn't know exactly what he had to do, but the feeling was clear. The power was his to command. Suddenly, the alarms blared once more, a deafening wail that shattered the moment of silence. The human turned, his eyes narrowing as the walls of the ship began to tremble. He could hear them, the inheritors, their ships approaching, their presence overwhelming. They were coming, and they were coming fast. In the distance, he could see flashes of light through the view screen, distant yet growing closer. The inheritors' fleet was approaching at warp speed, and with it, the inevitable destruction they would bring. There was no turning back. He had only one choice now: fight. The alien woman's voice, still faint in his memory, whispered to him, "Control it. You must control it." He could feel the ship's consciousness now, pulsing in sync with his own heartbeat. It was as if they were one, a perfect harmony of man and machine. With a single thought, the ship responded. The crystal beneath his hands flared brighter, and the ship began to move, its systems coming to life. The human's mind was clear now. He wasn't just a soldier anymore. He was the commander of this living, breathing vessel, a force capable of changing the fate of the galaxy. "Activate defense systems," he commanded, his voice steady, but filled with the weight of a decision he could never undo. The ship obeyed. Lights blazed along the walls as the hum of the ship's energy intensified. The holographic map of the galaxy appeared again, this time zooming in on the approaching inheritor fleet. They were closer than he had imagined. Too close. He quickly moved to the control panel, his mind racing as he activated the ship's weapon systems. As his fingers flew over the interface, energy began to concentrate around the ship. Massive amounts of power, like nothing he had ever felt before. The crystal's light pulsed faster as the ship's cannons hummed with raw energy. The inheritors' fleet was now visible through the ship's view screen, their dark, jagged vessels cutting through the vastness of space like shadows. Their warships were equipped with advanced weaponry, more advanced than anything the human had ever seen, but they were not prepared for what was about to happen. The human took a deep breath. He could feel the power, the control, the connection to the ship. With one thought, he could direct it. He could destroy them. But could he? His mind flashed to the alien woman's face, her final words, her sacrifice. She had believed in him, believed he was the one who could wield this power. But was he ready to bear the consequences? The voice of the ship echoed in his mind again. "The time to hesitate is gone. You must choose now. Destroy them, or the galaxy falls." The human stood tall, his fingers still poised above the controls. The choice was his. He could wipe out the inheritors, ending their threat once and for all, or he could try another way, a more dangerous path. But the inheritors were relentless. They would not stop, not until they had wiped out every last remnant of resistance. He had to stop them now. Without hesitation, he activated the ship's most powerful weapon, the one the alien woman had warned him about, a massive energy cannon built into the very heart of the ship. It was an ancient technology, designed to obliterate entire fleets in a single strike. He had felt its power, the raw destruction it could bring. But now, he understood its true purpose. With one final command, the cannon charged. The ship's energy crackled, the core flaring brighter than ever before. The inheritor fleet was too close. There was no time to waste. The weapon locked on, its massive energy beam focusing on the approaching ships. Then he fired. The beam of energy erupted from the ship, streaking across the vast expanse of space like a bolt of lightning. The human watched in awe as it connected with the lead ship in the Inheritor fleet. The explosion was unimaginable, a blinding flash that lit up the void. The force of the blast reverberated through the ship, shaking the human to his core. But he didn't flinch. He watched as the Inheritor ships began to break apart, their shields cracking under the immense pressure of the beam. The weapon had done its job. The fleet was disintegrating, but there was no time to celebrate. More ships were coming. The Inheritors would not surrender so easily. The human took a deep breath, his fingers flying over the controls. The ship's systems were still online, still ready for battle. He wasn't done yet. He wouldn't be until the last of the Inheritors had been defeated. The final battle had begun.